Hello, everybody. This is Michael Saltzman from Blue Sky Bio. I'd like to welcome you back for today's webinar session. I hope you're staying safe and healthy during these times. We're continuing with our ongoing webinar series, Viral Dental Education. We have webinars almost daily. We're actually going to be starting, some days we're going to be having 2 webinars. We updated the links today and the information on blueskyplan.com/webinars 2020, and we're updating it as well with new webinars on the Facebook groups, the Blue Sky Bio user group, and the Viral Dental Education group. So stay up to date, check out the upcoming list of fantastic webinar topics and speakers that we are putting together. And again, we encourage other companies as well to join the efforts, either with cooperation of Blue Sky Bio or independently, to offer these types of dental education opportunities during this time period. A couple of technical issues, as I always point out, that the CE credits will be sent within 2 weeks via email. So check out your email periodically, and please be patient until they arrive. If you're watching this presentation live, then we'll be sending you the credits automatically. If you're watching a recording, then just take the 10-question multiple choice test, and we'll be able to send you the CE credits. If you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them into the question and answer box, not the chat box, but rather the question and answer box, so they could be addressed during the webinar presentation. The webinar presentations are, of course, recorded, and if you've missed any past presentations, then you're able to go ahead and listen to them and get the CE credit. Today's presentation is being given by Dr. Raymond Rophie. He has a very unique advantage of having past experience both as a dentist and as a lab tech, and he's able to educate with this added advantage. He's joined the Blue Sky Bio team in 2018, working on CADCAM, clinical support, digital parts development. He's an active contributor and tester of the BlueSkyPlan software, so we definitely personally thank him for that. And he lectures on implantology and digital dentistry. He also offers his services via the Lab Pronto platform. You could go there and request training with Raymond and get the training on the BlueSkyPlan software, on any digital machinery, printers, scanners, any assistance that you need. You're able to get his help through the Lab Pronto platform. Today's topic is temporary and final restorations over natural teeth. Raymond will actually be giving follow-up webinars on other topics as well, so check out the schedule for his upcoming webinar presentations. Without further ado, Raymond, I'm passing everything over to you.
Hi everyone, how are you? This is, thank you Michael. This is Raymond. Let me just quickly share my screen. Okay. I want to share my screen, so for this, if you can start the screen. Okay. For the panelists, and there you go. So can you see my screen now?
No, not yet.
Wait just 1 second. There you go.
There we go. Okay, great.
Okay, cool. So now, good. Well, hi everyone. I want to show you today about the crown and bridge module, and more than that, we've been so far like talking, when we talk about Blue Sky Plan, we talk always about implants, and then we started talking about ortho and dentures and cleft traces, and now today I want to talk about a really like special topic. Okay, hi, it's raising hands. Okay, so I want to talk about the crown and bridge module itself. I started with CEREC like long time ago, and yeah.
Just we're seeing not the presentation view, but we're seeing the notes view. I think you have to click on display settings.
Okay, wait.
Switch the screen.
Wait. There you go. And now you can see it?
No, we're still seeing the notes.
Now you can see it.
There we go. Okay, perfect.
Okay, sorry. So what I was talking about is that we had usually like associated Blue Sky Plan with implants or with dentures and ortho. Today I want to give really a big leap on this CAD software, right? The Blue Sky Plan on the Crown and Bridge module is our newest module, our newest development. And what I really like about it, besides the fact of it's completely free and it creates the restorations like quicker than any other software that I know, and I've been using like plenty of them. I've been using EXOCAD and I've been using 3Shape as well. I've been using CEREC, and here we can just do it in like 6 steps. That's a huge advantage. I will be doing this webinar as interactive as possible with the software. Okay, so for you to know that I will be doing a very quick PowerPoint presentation, and then from there we'll go in there so I can explain it to you. But first of all, before talking about crown and bridges, I really need to start talking about the principles in the CADCAM restorations, okay, which are of course the preparation on the teeth. We have two type of teeth that of preparation on the teeth that I want to emphasize, which are the posterior and the anterior. In the posterior, it's very general, but it's what I used to teach as when I was a lab and I go to the office by office, I end up like giving all these advices, so I share this with you guys. If you guys can do like a 1 millimeter reduction at the gingival margin, so 1 millimeter margin, it's more than enough. In other words, if you can do like a nice margin that you can see through the occlusal view, okay, and you can see the full margin all around, then that's perfect. So somebody's raising their hand. Tell me.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Another thing that I really want to emphasize is the polished surface. The polished surfaces are the most important part as well for CAD-CAM. This is because we're creating restorations that will be more than likely milled or printed, but the final restorations as today, 2020, are milled. So we want like very polished surfaces where we can actually slide our restorations in and they can fit perfectly. Okay, this will increase actually the cementation and the long-term prognosis of our treatments. Good. As well, one of the most important parts of the preparations will be the occlusal, or actually the incisal reduction, okay? And here we do need at least 1.5 millimeters. If you cannot have them, do the most that you can, but always try to do a very, very, I will say wide, clear occlusal clearance. Okay, that would be my best advices on the teeth preparations. Again, another part that is critical is the tools that we're prepping our teeth. Okay, if you can get access to the electric hand pieces, I just used to love mine. When I was practicing, my electric hand piece was one of my best investments for my equipment on crown and bridge. Actually, I had like, a 15K, which is 150,000 RPMs for prepping. It was like my ideal, and then going through polishing, it was a 2,000, 5,000 RPMs. The fact that you can control the light, the torque, the speed, and the irrigation is something that it will make your prosthetic or your everyday crown and bridge practice easier. Okay, these are like my five burrs that I used for all my preparations, and they were really like standard. After a few preparations that you start doing, you can have as many burrs as you have, but these will be like the ones that you will be using the most. Okay, first of all, we'll be doing all the occlusal or the incisal reductions. Okay, I really like this 807 burr from Brasler. Okay, I really like this, the 106, because it will give me 1.5 millimeters in reduction. This is something that I really liked. I just go to final depth, and I knew that I was getting my full reduction. Okay, here I can do, here we're talking about anteriors and posteriors. It will be exactly the same. I will do 2 or 3 final reductions following the anatomy of the tooth. And once that I have those reductions, then I will just join all of the reductions together, and I will have my incisal or my occlusal reduction like really easy. Okay, then after that I will use the 856L, and this will be basically a tapered round end burr. This will give me just all the ideal for my preparation. I will definitely say that I like all my axial surfaces, axial meaning the buccal, the mesial, the distal, and the lingual surfaces, to be as flat as possible, not rounded. Okay, following the anatomy, yes, but as flat as I can. And then with round corners, that will give me really good initial shaping of my preparation. After that, I will, with this same burr, I will just polish my margin all around. I will define my margin all around the preparation, and this will be my whole axial reduction. Okay, I am really careful on this side. I really need to say it. I'm really careful with all the periodontal tissues. Okay, so if I'm getting any furcation or of anything, I will always follow all the anatomy of the tooth, so you can have a good outcome after a good prognosis after you finish your restoration. And of course, I will use the needle. I will use the thinnest one. I like the 010, the 859, the 010. I really like it. I use the needle one just for my interproximal reductions. Okay, and I do liberate all my teeth. Okay, so I can see actually all the papilla and all the interproximal soft tissue, so I can pack my cord, and I can actually work in, and I can put my restoration with enough thickness so you can have success with it. Okay, after you reduce the interproximal surface, you can always cleavage with a chisel or hatchet, whatever you guys want, and this will create a very nice initial margin. Then with your 856, you can finish your margin all around and finish with just one margin, which will be smooth. I really like the football area and the football burr in order to reduce in the anterior teeth, to reduce my palatal, my lingual surfaces, in order to give the space for my antagonist, for my opposing teeth to have a perfect occlusion. Okay, I need to remember that we need anterior guidance, of course, in the anterior teeth, and that every anterior tooth will have a concave central portion and concave development lobes going to basically guide also my lateral movements. Okay. After that, I will use my white polishing stone. I really like the one that it's like just with the flat end, and that drill I run it at 2,000 RPM, 2 to 5,000 RPM. It will definitely depend on you, what you like to do, with copious irrigation. And I will, first of all, I will define my margins. I will round all my sharp edges in the corners. I will round as well all the occlusal surfaces, so I can have one smooth preparation. This will be unified. And once that I can see it, once that I can see a nice preparation, a smooth preparation, and it's unified, it doesn't have like sharp edges, or it doesn't have like multiple levels in the margin, then I know that I can start scanning. Okay. And that will work either with an intraoral scan, with a lab scan, with a desktop scan, or with a PVS impression. Okay, the principles are exactly the same for for any type of acquisition, either digital or analog acquisition. This will be exactly the same. So again, just to touch on basis, we will need ample margins. When I used CEREC, I used to have one technique that I really liked. It was, actually learned it here in Miami with Edgar. It was when you use the ample margins, okay, you have ample margins, you have a mirror, you put your mirror occlusally to your tooth, and you look through it with just one eye open, okay? If you can see the full margin with it, then you're done. Your restoration is good to go for prepping a crown. If you cannot, you can always smooth those areas, and you need to look at the whole margin when you look through the occlusal surface. Okay, and I'm going to actually show why when we're preparing our crown later on. The ideal position of my margin, okay, will be actually supragingival. If I cannot do supragingival preparations, then I'll do equigingival, okay? That will be the best. We do not suggest so much to do subgingival restorations. We don't really need them now with all the ceramic materials that we have nowadays, that are really aesthetics. And actually, the more equigingival you get, the better, or the more natural anatomy of your teeth you will get. So yes, ideal will be supragingival. However, if you have a supragingival preparation, you will need a very ample margin, so your material can acquire that anatomy of your restorations and can have a natural look. We don't want bulky teeth. So far, questions, anyone? Michael?
Yeah, we're okay for now.
Good. So we will need something really important, that if we're using CADCAM, we're using any intraoral scanner or any desktop scan. Well, desktop we're not, but if we're using, sorry, desktop not, but any intraoral scanning technique or impression technique, we really need isolation, okay? We need to have our surfaces or our soft tissues away from our preparations, okay? I used to love my Isolite. I highly suggest it. I actually meet the inventor of it. He's great. I thank him so much for this, because thanks for the Isolite, I could do my scanning in a matter of seconds, okay? So this will dramatically improve your scanning time. As well, I didn't place it here, but Optragate is one isolation that I would say that it's a must when you're doing intraoral scanning, or any cheek retractor will work as well. Cotton rolls, whatever you want to use just to take away everything from your teeth and keep that area as dry as possible, that will give you the better experience when you're scanning, when you're intraoral scanning, okay? Also, you can use air and etc. at the beginning, when I was starting, I mean, if there are people here in the webinar, or if you're seeing this video and you're just starting with CADCAM, what I would highly suggest you, beside of this, is that you can use the scan spray. Okay, if we use scan spray at the beginning, you don't need to actually finish all the can in scan spray. Actually, I have here some. Okay, this is the scan spray that I use, and you can just basically grab any model or in your teeth if you go intraorally, and just with this you're ready. I mean, you only have to get a frost made appearance, and that's it. Okay, most of the scanners nowadays will say that they don't need powder, and it's true, you don't. However, if you use a scan spray, you will get all the margins and all the critical areas way faster than if you don't use it. Okay, this is disregarding of the scanner that you have. Okay, I would say, of course, if you have the prime scan or you have the trios, yeah, maybe with those you spend so much money on those that you might want to try to avoid this. However, even with those, you need the scan spray. I really like and suggest the Medit i500 scanner. I love it. We have a new player in the field, which is the Shining 3D scanner, the AORL scan, which is great so far. And I can say that if you don't have that technology nowadays with you, and you're still taking impressions, or you have so much experience that you are a great impression taker in PVS and it really works for you, then continue doing your impressions, and you can just use a desktop scanner. In Blue Sky, I'm sorry?
Which spray do you recommend using?
For intraoral scanning, to be honest with you, I use the Optus spray. The Sirona, it's really good, or the Ivoclar one is really good as well. There is one specially that I love, that is from 3M, and it's from the scanner, from the True Definition scanner. It works with a pistol. I'm going to show you some images later on, but it's like too much. That's an investment. But if you're going to have one bottle of the Optus spray, just have it beside your scanner. If there is any case or whatever that you're having just a little bit trouble in scanning, you can just have it right with you. In 1 second, you will be just spraying your patient, and after that, you will see the change. It's really unique. Okay.
Okay, and I also want to clarify, if people have a question, don't raise your hand. You could just type them into the question and answer box, and we'll have Raymond answer them.
Yes, guys, please, this is very important, okay? I need you to ask. I really need you to ask, because this is such a huge subject that I try to actually like make everything so in a nutshell, so we can go to the software. But by any means, please ask, and I will be more than happy to assist you with this. Okay? Good. Another very important thing is the gingival retraction. So let's say that you're using your PVS, and you are going to use a gingival retraction, so you get a very nice margins. Well, exactly it's the same scenario when you're intraoral scanning. Okay, if you want to use laser to trim all your soft tissues, use it. If you want to use gingival cord, use it. Whatever you want to use, just use a thick retraction, so you can differentiate between the sulcus or your tissues and your preparation. This is something that in the future will give you an advantage of when you're marking your margins on the software. Okay, actually, for the people that it's new using the CADCAM, this will be great for you, because it will make you better dentists. It will make you to understand why we need thick preparations, why we need thick margins. But thick enough to actually look at them. And when you can see them, you can mark them. And when you can mark them, then you can create your restorations, right? So the gingival retraction is a must. It's important. I wouldn't suggest, I've seen doctors that they love these gingival retraction pastes. To be honest with you, I was never a fan of those, but you can definitely use them. You can definitely use them if these will give you the retraction that you will need, and it will stay the time retracting your tissues. It will give you a good time retracting them. Then be mega, you can definitely use them. And yes, most of the times I use hemostatic. I love to use a hemostatic that it doesn't contain any ferrum sulfate. So Hemodent is good. Hemodent will be actually great. Okay, so now keeping clean and clear the scanning area. Okay. Air syringe, I think that I misspelled it, sorry for that. So keeping clean and clear the scanning area is paramount here. Okay, that means that if you're taking your scan, if you're taking your scanner, okay, here I have actually one intraoral scanner. So if you are taking your scanner, you definitely need that your scanner, it's actually taking all the sides of your preparations, okay, and of your teeth. But this means that you will need a mirror on one side, and on the other side, you can use the head of your scanner so you can retract all the tissues around. This will give you a constant, clear area of your models, of your scanning. Else, you will be starting to have a lot of scatter everywhere, like soft tissues or fingers or whatever there that will cause a scan to be like not perfect. Okay, any questions here on the intraoral scanning? I think that this is a big subject, and if you have any questions, this is the time to ask.
There's a question that came in a little bit earlier. Any tips on capturing the margins on your skin when the margins are subgingival? If margins have to go subgingival, are there times when you have to take a traditional impression?
Yes, many times. Okay, so this is something really, that's a great question, okay? So let's say that you have a very deep margin, a very, very deep margin for an onlay or a crown or in a distal of a first molar or a mesial of a first molar, right? That you need to go deep. Okay, then what you do is you scan everything, okay? And if you cannot get the bottom of, the bottom of the margin, the whole margin, what you do, that's why I do like METED. I love METED because of that. What you do is you can take a PVS impression that you can see the margin, okay? And you can scan that impression on top of that. So you can have your patient intraoral scan, and then you can scan, you can rescan with the METED, you can rescan that part of the impression, and it will give you that depth in a perfect position. If you don't have the METED, what you can do is you can create a wider space, okay? You can create a wider and ample space on your margin, okay? And then yes, you need to use a cord, you need to use a scan spray in that area. And with air, you just continue spraying air while you are getting into that margin, okay? And you can access, like tilting as well, the head of the scanner. You can see the scanner now, yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can tilt your scanner so you can
see it a little bit higher.
There?
Yeah, here we go, yeah.
Okay, so you have the scanner head here, okay? Now what you do is you just tilt your scanner from also the interproximal, and then you'll go to your lingual. And this will take way more of the margin that you were supposed to be getting when you have deep margins. Okay, that will be one of my best suggestions. If you still cannot see that, then you have to reduce a little bit more on the occlusal surface so you can have way more space for the light to come to the margin area. Okay, good. Any other question about scanning?
No.
Okay, cool. So just for as a rule of thumb, okay, if you have an intraoral scanner and you will start implementing this into your practice, what I would suggest you to do is have your assistant to have a scan of the working area, the opposing model, and the bite registration before you go into the chair, okay? So you can have the whole model set before you actually have a tired patient or you're with the whole schedule in the back. So what you have to do is you bring your patient in, your assistant scan the working side before the preparation. Actually, you can do this, the opposing and the bite registration with your patient seated in the chair with straight back, okay? So you can have a good occlusion, so you can have an actual real occlusion. And once that you have this, after you prep your tooth, you just cut the area that you are going to prep, that you prepped already, and you just rescan that area. It's really important that the doctor or the most experienced assistant do this part. It's better, actually, it's more recommended that the doctor do this because you need to see all your margins like perfectly, like crisp. Okay. Any question here? I think actually somebody is. No?
But they're saying that when you demonstrated the scan, it wasn't visible on the screen, so they didn't see it. When you demonstrated the scanner to scan the model, they weren't able to see it.
Okay. So you know what? Yeah, Eduardo was saying that, right? So okay, good. So let's do. The only thing that I was saying is this is the scanner. If you are scanning the deep margins, now you can see this better.
Yeah, now we could. Yeah, now we could see it.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, if you have a very deep margin and you want to scan it, you want to tilt the head of your scanner by making a finger movement, okay? Not only a wrist, but it will be more a finger movement. You will tilt the head of the scanner, okay, towards, so you can make the light going towards the margins that you want to actually have the scan in the deep preparations. This will definitely give you the better scan. Okay.
Yep.
Good. Cool. So if you have any questions, please, you can always contact me, Raymond at BlueSkyBio and at .com, and I will be more than happy to give you these advices with your scanner in your hand. That will be easier. Okay. To do it.
Somebody asked now if they could see the margin clearly when designing the restoration, do I still need to do a gingival retraction?
Okay, so this is a great question. You might see the margin clearly, right? The problem is when you're actually defining the margin later on, you don't have this color aid where you have the tissue colored and the tooth color. You have just one color and the model right there in the CAD. It's not like perfect. So having the cord or having the retraction will give you an extra. Will definitely give you an extra advantage when you are marking your margins. And also what I'm trying to do here, when I'm telling you to do a gingival retraction, is that when you do just one workflow and you keep on that one, you will definitely become pro in that workflow, right? And that you will be doing it easier and easier and faster every time that you are practicing more with it. So there will be, most of the times, if you are like great at preparing supergingival margins, that's great. And most of the times you will be having those supergingivally. However, when you have one that it's slightly not visible, you will start having some kind of battles in there and not having of hiccups and not having perfect. In the other side, if you create a retraction, this will be constant for you, and this will create a workflow that will work for you in your office. Remember that in your office, it's not only you, but it's also you and your assistants and all the team together, that if you guys work within a system, this will be better for you guys, okay? And also, here I'm talking, if you're doing CADCAM, unlike surgical guys or unlike ortho, here you can take partial scans, okay? And the minimum scan that you need, it will be 1 tooth distal to the preparation and 2 teeth mesial to the preparation, okay? I really like, this is like the minimum. If you have one of those scanners that they don't have video streaming and they still have picture streaming, so that will be like the minimum requirement. Ideally, I would say for quadrants from the midline to the quadrant area, that will be like the minimum just to have function. That will be the best. The more surfaces that you get, the better function that you will be starting to use in your restorations. And I can get as deep as you want here in occlusion, but if you can get canine guidance, you can get anterior guidance, you can get all the movements, and that you will be, okay, the more time you spend on this part and planning, the less time you will be later on just like making occlusal adjustments, okay? But if you're talking about the minimum, it will be 1 tooth distal and 2 teeth mesial to the preparation, okay? And well, basically that's about it on the PowerPoint presentation. I would really like to show you now what is that we have to offer. This is what we will be looking at later on. This is the 3D printing, and I want to show you all this in Blue Sky Plan. So the scanner that I use for my desktop scans, and yes, I do crowns with this, is the Blue Sky Bio scanner. Okay, this is a scanner that we designed. Actually, Corey did a lot of this. I did also part of it, and we developed this scanner that it's giving great results. Now we're going in the 2nd generation. For $2,500, it's amazing. You can just go into blueskybio.com, go shop online, and after shop online, you'll just get to the 3D scanners, and you'll get either the 3D scanners. You can get 2 options. You have the Shining 3D, which is great. I really like it as well, or the Blue Sky Bio scanner, which is $2,500. For now, we only ship it to the United States, but yeah, this is the scanner that I like. And for the intraoral scanners, this is something really important to show you guys. For the intraoral scanners, we have 3. Okay, we have the Carestream, the 3600. I really think it's a great scanner. Yes, it's a great scanner, but we can definitely get better value for our money with the Medit i500. This Medit is a great scanner. I suggested, I've been training dozens of people in the country with this scanner. I love it, and it's all interactive. It's all cloud-based. So that's, if you ask me which one is the one that you would suggest, I would definitely suggest the Medit i500. Okay, for intraoral. And before going to the presentation and to the actual crown prep in the software, I just want to talk about real quick in LabPronto. LabPronto.com, it's one of our branches in Blue Sky Bio, and this is like it's like the Uber for outsourcing all of the technology that you want to materialize. Okay, you can do like surgical guides, you can do ortho, and of course, if we're talking about CAD, about crown and bridge, we have also the crown and bridge services, okay, where you can have the design of the crowns, or you can have the design and the fabrication of your crown. The turnaround times are amazing, these services. We have same day for designing. You'll receive the design within the same day, maybe next day, for the design of your crowns. For a fabrication of a crown, you will be looking about a week, but it's very good, the turnaround time that you have. You can also create the tooth whitening bleach trays. The reason why we included the bleach trays here is because some of the times when you're doing a smile design, okay, you're doing a very nice smile design on your patient, and the way that you start with is doing a wax up, and after you do a wax up, you want to do all the final aesthetics with the restorations, right? But if you do a bleaching before, it will be great. And these kind of whitening trays are done with pressure forming machines. So the pressure forming machines, on the opposite of the vacuum forming machines, that these have a great precision on, you can actually duplicate a model with these guys. So it's pretty cool. And then we have as well the titanium abutment fabrication. That is a custom abutment, titanium blank. Now it's for Blue Sky Bio products. And this is one of the advantages of using Blue Sky Bio implants. So you can have a custom abutment and a crown for $199, which with the implant itself, it's a grand total of about $306 for the implant, custom abutment, and crown. Okay, but here you have that that opportunity to send it out to Lab Pronto, and of course the screw retain restoration over a tie base, which I love them. That's my go-to in tie bases. I've done as a lab thousands of them, and I really like them. Well, that's it. We now are going to the software. Okay, at the end of the presentation, we will do two cases. One of the cases will be a posterior tooth. Okay, it will be a posterior lower molar. This will be the crown of the lower molar, and we will be doing as well the articulated models. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for now holding all the presentation. Now we will get into the interactive part of the webinar. Okay, so this is what we will be finishing with, and just as a plus, I will be taking you guys as well to the 3D printing area. Okay, so I will be showing you guys how to place your 3D printing in your models and your crowns, how to do it so you can 3D print that and do it. Okay, so I hope you like it, and let's start. So I will just save this here in molar. Okay, good. So let me start by opening a Blue Sky Plan project now. Okay, and once that you start, for the people that are noticing it, we have now the 4.7.2 version. By the way, if you have a milling unit, this real quick, if you have a milling unit in your office and you are and you're going to mill the restorations, you can send us an email to plan@blueskybio.com, and we'll send you now development build a beta test, and we will set a development build, and you can beta test this. The advantage of having this developmental build is that you will have the XML construction files exported as well as your crown. So you will be able just to export this to your CAM software, and you will not have to define where's the margin and everything. So it will already have the construction file in. Okay. Good. So now let's just go real quick. This is the 4.7.2 software. This has 6 modules, okay? And we will today look at the crown and bridge. As you know, we will always start every time in Blue Sky Plan. We'll go to crown and bridge. We'll go to conventional crown, and then we will select the models of our case. In this case, I'm going to select both of my models. You have to select them together. Okay, and once that you select them together, you just click OK. And the software will bring you both of the models together. The importance of this is that when we're aligning the models, they will be aligned at the same time. Okay, so I will select my working jaw. In this case, I'm going to select my lower working jaw, select the mandible. Okay, and also in this case is a partial scan, so it's a dentated partial scan. You can also use the edentulous full arch scan or the dentated full arch area. In any of these cases, I'm sorry, yeah?
We recommend, okay, the lower jaw should work as well, but generally we recommend selecting the upper jaw. Okay.
In this case, I am working the lower jaw because I want my working model to be, when you're talking about the CADs, when you're talking about crowns, you don't know how is your opposing. So you always want to align the working jaw, only on the crown and bridge. Okay? And then you continue to the alignment. And what you're doing here, the software, if you can see on the right side, it's asking you to press the shift key, okay, and then put 3 points, and it's highlighting the lingual or the palatal cusp in your model, okay. In this case, it's completely accurate, but what I want you to understand, then it will ask us for the incisal edge and then for a buccal area. So what I want you to understand before I put the buccal is that we are creating here a plane, okay? We are here now creating a plane where all our points are together and we're mounting our model on a plane. So look at this. I am putting here shift and it will bring my model into a plane. This grid, of course, is the mounting grid that we use. I see it very useful here in the software. And sorry, and what I want you to understand with this, that we're doing this on a plane, is because if you have an anterior sextant, okay, if you have the anterior partial model only, as we'll see on the next veneer, we'll do a veneer later on, then it will be a different setup for the sextants, okay? But if you ever have some issues with these, just remember that you're doing a plane. That's the most important part. And here, if you, for any chance, your model is not perfect and it was an upper jaw or a lower jaw and you had the opposing alignment, you can easily just swap orientation with one click and we're done. Okay, then after this, we just click continue. And here, it's another model that will allow us to change or manipulate the models. Here, we have the option of only show the mandible or only show the maxilla and show all. I will suggest you to go and show all so you can modify the position of all your models together, okay? So that's important to say, and we'll just continue real quick now. Okay, we'll then click finish, and it will take us, if you can see, we're now, you can see on the upper right corner of the screen where we have the modules area, we have the model edit, we are at the model editing module, okay? This is because if your scan, for any reason, your scan has a lot of scatter and you want to clean it and you want to prepare the model for 3D printing, let me show you a quick example. So here you have a model, okay? Here you have a model of an intraoral scan, which has a lot of scatter, right? This is soft tissues. This has, sorry for that. There's a lot of tissues, and this has parts that we need to delete. So we go to the model edit panel, and after we edit all these models, we edit all this scan, then we create a base and we create a model so we can print later on. Okay, this we can do it in every single model in BlueSkyPlan software. So every time that you log in, you have to know that you will be in the model editing module, and then in the model edit panel, you will be able to use all these selections that we will talk about later on, okay, and you will be able to create a model, okay, and this model will be able to print it later on as well. Okay, so after we cleaned our model, we'll click here where it says continue to crown design. So left click in there, and now we are in the crown and bridge, or the CAD, the BlueSkyPlan CAD module. Okay, so first of all, we have here in this module, we have here in the panels, we have 3 panels. We have the teeth editing panel, the restoration design, and the teeth STL surfaces panel. In my screen, I have this toolbar. This is my toolbar, the panels toolbar, that I have it on the left hand side of my screen. If you like this, I really find this really useful. If you want to have this, the only thing that you need to do is you actually go to View Toolbars, okay? So View Toolbars, then you select the Panels toolbar, and after you select it, it will be more than likely on this side, on the top portion of your screen. What you can do is you just grab this dotted line, and with the left mouse button, you will just drag it to the left hand side of your screen, and this position will remain for good, and I really use it a lot. So okay, I will go now to my restoration design panel. So I'll go panels, restoration design panel, and here I will select as a conventional crown. Okay, in this case, we'll do a conventional crown on a mandible. We'll select the orientation, and then we'll select here in the select models area. You can select the model, the crown. If you did a wax up before, this we'll see it. We'll see 2 cases today. The veneer case, we'll do wax up before, and also when you're doing tie bases, when you're doing crowns on top of implants, more than likely, if you're using a guided implant, you will have a wax up before the crown. So here you can use the crown. In this case, we don't have. We'll create the crown later on, and we'll select our antagonist. After that, we'll just click Start, and this will take us to the wizard of the crown and bridge module. This will be 6 different steps. Okay, the first step will be to create the margin. Just for you guys, if you're not very experienced with the software, let me real quick go with this. I am rotating my models with the left mouse button. Okay, I can move my model in perspective. If I press and hold the mouse wheel, I can move it, and I can zoom in and out with my right mouse button if I slide it back and forth. Okay, I can also use this toolbar, which is the visibility toolbar, which is the view toolbars and is the mouse toolbar. So if you want to use the mouse toolbar as well, you can just select it. More than likely, if you're using a Mac computer, your buttons will not be the same, so you will have to use this toolbar. So the zoom button, and as well, this will be the position button. This will help you a lot, because when we're talking about CAD or design, we need to talk about perspective. Okay, this will make our lives easier. Okay, now I am going to start define the margin. Here, as you can see, we have the instructions, and the instructions are just to click and hold your shift key in your keyboard, and with your left mouse button, you will be clicking in white areas just to start with a general position of my margin. And then the last point that you will see here, you will join it with the first point that you have. Once that we have the general margin, real quick, we will just hold a shift and we will click where I can see the abrupt changes in angulation. If you guys are new with all these designs, what you can do is you can actually zoom in and check where are your actual tooth surfaces, the gingival surfaces, and here will be your margin. This is the area where you need to mark your margin, okay? Not above, not below, there, right on the abrupt change of the surface. So for the user, for the doctor that was asking about the retraction cord, this is why you use a retraction cord. Because even though these will be supragingival in most areas, here in the distal, you can see some areas that you really need more definition, and that is just given by the retraction when you use it. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, again, I will zoom in, hold shift, and draw with the left mouse button. I am going to draw a margin, and I can just make it very small changes to my general margin, or you can just use one click. So let me just show you. Let's say here in the occlusal perspective, on this point, I need to move my margin just a little bit more to the buccal. So here I will just hold shift, and one click will take my margin where I want it, okay? And we'll move the whole margin. And these are really, really useful tool. That's the way that I actually do it. But you can also drag and draw with your mouse cursor. Once that you have the full margin set, I can now tell you, this is like if you have the mirror and you close one eye, because this is just one view. So remember when I told you when you were scanning, prior to scanning, your preparation that you want to see with one eye in an occlusal perspective of your mirror, this is exactly that view. So that's why you need to look at a whole 360 degrees of your margin everywhere, okay? If you see your margin, then you will know that you have a crown that will work in here, okay? That's a key. Another thing, another key that you need to use is on the interproximal surfaces of your adjacent teeth, okay? You need to smooth them. This is something extremely, extremely important. I don't know if we went up to in the presentation, if we went into the drills, but yes, exactly. I use this drill, the white stone. I use it to polish my adjacent teeth surfaces. I really love this because I like my contacts to be white and very tight, okay? So here I check my insertion axis, will be my next, which will be my next step. So I'm just gonna click next. And now I will be able to do my insertion direction, okay? So I am going to calculate the insertion direction of my crown in this precise moment. This will continue the position that I left last time. So after you position your margin, just place your model, or you can see your margin 360 degrees. And now you can see as well your adjacent interproximal surfaces. Here we have the option of allowing the undercuts, okay? So when you allow undercuts, this will create a big space on your crown and will allow it to sit. If you do not allow undercuts, okay? I'm sorry, if you allow big undercuts area, what will happen is that the software will create a crown, and you have here marking all the areas where you have undercuts, and more than likely it will not fit very well. So I really like here, I'm just going to do a 0.25 undercut allowance, and then I am just going to click here where it says set insert direction from view. Okay, you can also move, if you want to, you can also move this circle, this widget, you can move it so you can change the insertion direction from the view, from this circle. But I really find more than useful the way that you can position occlusally, see 360 degrees of your margin, set direction from view, and that's it. Okay. After that, you will click next, and you have the interproximal areas. So this is one very cool thing about this CAD software, that you can define holding shift and the left mouse button. You will define where are your interproximal surfaces. Okay, if you by accidentally mark anywhere that is not an interproximal surface, you can always hold, and with control, so select control, and with the left mouse button you will delete this. So again, with shift is adding points, and with control is deleting points. Okay, so once that you have this, you can also select the tool size. Okay, once that you have this selected, what you will do is you will go and click next, and this will take you to our teeth geometry library. We will, in this case, I'll just choose the Meachhurst Pontic library. I just like it a lot, and I will choose now the left mandibular first molar. Click OK. I can choose as well the size, but the good thing about marking the interproximal surfaces is that the software will already calculate everything. Will already calculate the width, and it will give me a close to reality perspective, a close to reality anatomy of my tooth. If by any chance I do not like, or I want to change the library, I can just click back and change the library to the current one that I like. Okay, so here you have now a tooth, you have now a model, and now this thing up here. This is called a widget. Okay, this widget has arrows that will change the position within the axis, will move the, like, in just a straight line, the object. Okay, you have as well the circles of the widget that will rotate around that axis, around the pivot area. Okay, and what I suggest is to place with the small arrows. You can position your pivot area on your central portion, or the central sulcus of the tooth, so you can rotate everything from there. This will act as a pivot. Okay, and what I'm doing now is I am accommodating my tooth. Okay, first occlusally, so I can have, as you can see, all the central grooves of my teeth. I can move it so they will be according. Then I will put my perspective in a buccal perspective. Okay. In the buccal perspective, I can change the orientation, or I can change the position of my cusps. So I can have now the height, the cusp height, averaging the cusp height of the rest of the crowns with my new crown. Okay. Once that I have that, then I will go to a lingual or to a posterior perspective or anterior. You can do it either. So you can move your tooth accordingly, and you can have a good positioning of your tooth. Once that you have that, then you'll go to your lingual view, and I highly suggest to cover all of the sides with the tooth. So if you have any area like this that it's not working really good, you can always use the rest of the tools. Okay, you have the transform, and we'll give you the widget. You have as well add and remove. That will work if you hold shift. If you press and hold the shift button, you have here the tool size and the tool strength. Okay, so you can just hold shift and move and scroll the mouse wheel. If you scroll forward, you will have an increased area of action. If you scroll the mouse wheel backwards, you'll have a smaller area of action. Okay, so now, for example, if I want to add material in this part, I will just left click and I will add the material there. Okay, let's say that I want to remove material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold control instead of shift, and I will be removing material from that area. Exactly as before we were talking. Okay, so we will place as well the height of contour. Now it's very important to make the size of the tooth ideal. So I'm going to use now the local deform tool. I am going to hold shift, increase the diameter or the area that I'm using, and I am going to just move it with very small movements. I am going to affect this area so I can have a close to reality proposal on this tooth. Okay, you will detect from your different views what you like, and the only thing that you do not allow or what you don't want are concavities. If you see any concavity, you can like the one that we see here, you can just delete the concavity by adding more material. Okay, so here basically you can move the crowns as well. And that's it. I want you to show also I want you to go to the intaglio of your models, okay? And we will start planning our interproximal surfaces, okay? Or our interproximal areas. So here, for example, in distal, I have it like I wanted, which is a very wide area that is passing through the tooth to the model. I want to do exactly the same on the bicuspid. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to use my local deform tool and just add a little bit of material all around the interproximal surface. And there you go. Now I have this part of the tooth that is passing through the area. I can just smooth it real quick. In order to smooth, I'll select the smooth area. This is something that I learned in CEREC. It's really useful. I will select the area that is slightly larger than the contact point that I am going to do, and with single clicks, I'll define that contact. So now what we can do is we can go to the teeth surfaces as well and bring in the opposing tooth. We'll bring the opposing tooth, and we can as well just see which parts are surpassing, which parts are like impinging on the model, and I can easily just move them away so we can have an ideal occlusion, or not ideal occlusion, but less occlusal adjustments later on. In order to have ideal occlusion, or in order to have a better, a perfect occlusion here, you need to select 3 points, okay, that they are passing. This will give you the less amount of occlusal adjustments later on, and will give you function. Okay, so you don't want to take under occlusion or very high in the restoration, because what you want is a crown that is functioning on your patient. So I am actually doing this tripod, okay, these 3 points, and I am just smoothing around all the rest of the areas. I can add here just for the margin. I don't want concavities also, so remember to look for the concavities. Those are, we don't want them ever. They're just not aesthetic. Okay, go. Now we just click next, and the software will start doing now the bottoms of the crown. We already created all the external portion of the crown. Now we're doing the bottoms of the crown. Hey, so far, is there any questions? This is very, very important.
Yeah, there are a bunch of questions. Let's finish. I recommend let's finish the process flow for this crown.
Okay, good. Good. So far, just for you guys to understand, so far we've brought the whole external portion of the teeth, of the crown, of the tooth to be. Okay, now we're doing what matters for clinically for us and for the milling unit. So we're doing the crown bottoms. This is called the crown bottoms. And this is the 5th step out of the 6th. Now we'll do the cement crown spacer, okay? If your crown, if your preparation is very polished and is conical and you don't have any undercuts at all, you can definitely do 0.1 cement spacer. However, I standardize it at 0.2 or 0.3. Okay, so it'll be 0.3 in molars, it will be 0.15 in anteriors, okay? But if you don't have enough clearance, you can always play with this number as your convenience, okay? Because this will be actually an empty space that will be filled up by cement. So I do 0.3, okay? And now the no cement gap, I want to zoom in and show you guys, okay? The zoom in is this dark area between the model and the crown. That this dark area will be disregarding the cement spacer or anything that I do. This will be a 0 offset, okay? 0 offset means that if I turn my model inside out, I will be seeing some parts that are impinging. It's not impinging. In reality, it's a 0 offset. It will be dead on, okay? It will be fitting completely there. And that's exactly what your crown needs in the fitting surface, okay? That's why when you take the x-ray, you'll see a perfect margin with your tooth. So the no cement gap, if you have a chamfer or a shoulder preparation, you can have 1 millimeter. If you have an onlay or an overlay, you want a longer and no cement gap area. However, if you have a feather edge or not a very thick margin, you can decrease this no cement area so you can have more chances of the fitting of the crown. Okay. Then what you're gonna do is we're having these angled and vertical parts. These three are here. Basically are the interfaces between the crown bottoms and your crown, okay, are creating all the integration between both surfaces. And I will definitely suggest you guys to leave it as is. The presets are done in a way that you will have your crowns very well fitted. However, if you want to change them, you can always move them, and you will see how the angles will look after you move them, okay? But at 60 degrees, I really like them. Then I will do the vertical at 0.10 and the minimum thickness. Okay, the minimum thickness is very variable. I really like when we're talking about posterior teeth to be between 0.5 and 0.7. This is extremely important. 0.5 and 0.7 millimeters. It's my my ideal. Okay, if you're using zirconia or using a very tough metal, you can always go to 0.4. But for most of the vitroceramic materials, such as EMAX, Celtra Duo, any of the hybrids, Suprinity, porcelain, you can definitely count on the 0.7 as your safe minimum thickness of the restoration. And once that we have this, okay, just one more thing. If we're talking about anteriors, you can do from 0.3, 0.4 will be okay. Good. So now we click next, and we will have our crown showing us the minimum thickness if we've been violating it, which we have not. That's good. And we have everything. The only thing that I do not like in this case is the interproximal. So let me just go back. Okay, here, my minimum thickness, I'm gonna have it in 0.7, I said. I'm gonna do okay, and I'm just going to click next. I will check if I have any parts. Yeah, something was good. I now know that I have these parts that are violating my minimum thickness, which we will be able to just touch them with the local deform tool, and we will be able later on to smooth them. Okay, so you have this. It's already fixed here as well. I really want to fix this interproximal area because I don't really like it. So I will right click on my model, toggle the transparency of my model, see through, increase the area, and I am going to increase the size of my interproximal surface. Exactly on the other as well. There you go. Once that we have that, if there is any changes that we want to do, we can always do them here. And the software will be showing us if we want to show or cut the occlusal surfaces. Here will show us the high points, okay? And also the occlusal points if we want to show or hide the contact areas. Okay, so now here I am going to hold this. Okay, I can, sorry for that, I click back. Okay, I was in 0.6, 0.7. Sorry for that, for some reason I clicked back instead of finalize. Okay, so again, real quick, I am going to to just create my areas. Well, and then here, okay, I can smooth. Good. Here I can again smooth my interproximal, not so much, but just smooth it the way that I can see through. And now I am going to, okay, there is something that I didn't show before, and it's important to see. If I did something that I don't like, for example, like this, and I want to undo, I can always press this undo arrow, and I'll go back to the step before, okay? So that's something really important to have. Good. So this is like the final that I want, and I'll just select cut occlusal intersection and cut proximal intersections. And now what I'm going to do is just smooth this and finalize. Okay. This is already cut and is in the minimum thickness. And I will show you now, if you want, so let's say that you didn't like it. I don't love it. So here you can always change as well the anatomy. And even though you change the anatomy here, it will never change the inside. Okay. So this is fine. This is done. And after you finish with the restoration, you can just go now and click export. After you click export, it will take you to the export area. You can only select the custom crown, okay? You can select whatever surfaces you want here from the library. However, I will choose now in this case just to export the custom crown for number 30. I'll click export and select a model where area where I want to take it. In this case, I will select in the crown and bridge model in the molar, and I'll just click OK. And this will be exported already. As you see, it's zero cost, and it will be in the long term zero. Okay, we'll never charge for that so far. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do an anterior case, but first I would like to answer some questions.
Perfect. Okay, so I'd just like to reiterate the point that Raymond just said, that the exports of the crowns and bridges from the software are free, and they're going to stay free for the foreseeable long-term future. I'm not saying it's never going to change, but our long-term plan for now is that for the exports of the crowns from the software that will remain free.
Yep.
Some questions that came in. Oh, another point. We got a bunch of questions about getting access to the practice files. Yes, the practice files, the same files that it's presenting with is being shared. So if you go onto the recorded webinar page on the Blue Sky Plan website, you go to blueskyplan.com/webinars2020. You'll have a link there for the recordings. You'll have the recorded webinar, and you will have the actual practice files as well. So you could use the exact same files that Raymond is using during the presentation and practice on your own computer. Okay, Raymond, you ready?
Yeah, give me the questions.
What are the instructions to be given to the lab for scanning the models? Many times the opposing model scans are not aligned, and I have to do it manually in the Blue Sky Plan software.
Okay, repeat that again. So most of the times, How
to tell the lab that you want the models in occlusion and that the STL files should be saved in occlusion so that when they're exported into Blue Sky Plan, the relationship is maintained and the models show up with proper occlusion.
Yes, that's that's the way. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it, because most of the times, and maybe what the doctor is referring to this, sometimes the models might lose for some reason the orientation. So what you will ask to your lab is to send you as well the upper model, the lower model, and both models in occlusion exported as one STL file. Okay, if you have those two models in occlusion exported as one STL file, what you can do is you can bring them into the software, and with the buccal byte registration tool, you will be able to align them together with one click. You don't even have to worry about that. Okay, because most of the times, what will happen is that you can bring one model, okay, and then when you bring the other model, in the model manipulation panel, let me just show you real quick. In the model manipulation panel, you can use this align to model, okay, and you can use the opposing model to align it and just click OK. And the coordinates must be must be perfect. However, if for some reason you're saying that you don't have these models all the time like perfect, ask your lab to send you both upper and lower as one STL file. And then you can use that here in the buccal byte registration panel. Buccal byte registration, and here you can just import that model, okay? And you can import that model, whatever it is, with both models together. Just click OK, and the software will automatically align them together. This is a very powerful tool of the software.
If the models are scanned correctly in a proper relationship, then when you drag them in, as Raymond did at the beginning of this case, when you drag the files into the software, it will retain its relationship in the BlueSkyPlan software as well.
That's correct. That's correct. So let me just real quick start the other case, and I will be answering that question, showing you guys the next case. Okay. So I am opening the software. Okay. And once that I have opened the software, I go crown and bridge, conventional crown, and then I bring these two. So it's the anterior, I have the lower and the upper. Okay, I will select them both. How? I will just drag, hold, and press and hold my left mouse button. Just drag them to the second one. Or I can use the control shift, the control key to select more than one model. Okay, once that you've done that, it will take both models into the software. If you have 4 models, or if you have 3 models, it doesn't matter the amount of models that you have. You can bring them all together into BlueSkyPlan, and as long as you are aligning them, they will all align together with this. Okay, so you click OK, and now you have these 2 models aligning to each other. Does that make sense? Just let me know if I answer your question, please. Okay?
Yeah, very good. Okay.
Good.
The
next
question is, using the Medit scanner, is the BlueSkyPlan software the interface to scan, or does the Medit scanner have its own scanning software?
No, Medit scanner has its own platform, which it's called Medit Link. Okay, the Medit Link you can actually download it in any computer. It's not a computer or license dependent. Okay, you can download it in any computer, and then you can just access to that program in any computer that you want. Here, for example, you can put Medit Link, and you can just download that software in any computer. You can and you will be prompted to create your account and sign in and etc. etc. But once that you bring your Medit Link program, that will be like your management program, and it has another app that is just for scanning. And then from there you can export. And when you export it, you can export it as a model, as a scan, or as a raw scan, and that way you can bring it to BlueSkyPlan or to any other software.
Okay,
Okay.
great. The next
Yeah.
question, as long as you mark your margins correctly, when the software places the crown selection, will it close the margins?
Okay, as long as you have your margin correctly, the crown will close your margins. Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, the software will definitely do all the, will create a closed margin. That's a great question. Then when we do this case specifically, you will see how the computer will close that anatomy, that interface between the crown and the margin.
Okay. How did you bring in the upper to marry with the crown?
Again,
I think what the question is asking is how is the crown placed automatically? And I think the answer is once you mark the margin and the adjacent teeth, the
yeah.
software placing the crown, it's giving you at least initial setup, and then the user could go ahead and refine any refinements that need to be done.
Yeah, so let me just explain this easier. So the software will know exactly where to place a crown. First of all, with the margin. Okay, the margin will give the spatial location of the crown. And then the interproximal surfaces will give the size of the tooth. Okay, and the orientation, where is mesial, where is distal. So that is how the software intelligence works when placement of the crown. However, now in this specific case and answering this question and part of the past one, let me just align this real quick. I will go again and select mandible, partial, continue to alignment. Remember what I told you? This, we're now creating a line of a plane of alignment. So here, even though it's telling us to mark my lingual, what really is telling us is just mark one point on the plane. And then I'm marking another incisal point of the plane, and then I'm marking another incisal point of the plane, and will give me a perfect alignment of my models. Okay? This is very important for you to know what you're doing, not only what the software is asking or anything. It's important that you know exactly what you're doing. Here, you're just doing a plane for aligning your models to the face of the patient. Here in the lower left area, you will see the face of your patient. That is what we're aligning in this precise moment, okay? Just real quick, we'll continue. And again, if I do not click show all, I will be modifying the position of my models, but I really want to move to show all the models so I can move in perspective where I want them to be in the space. Okay, let me go back because I lost the perspective. Now I had it again. Good. There you go. Now I'm good with this. I'll just click finish. Okay, so again, I'm now in the model editing area. For you guys that are holding up with me, I'm going to show you real quick how to do articulated models. We'll go in the model editing panel. We'll go to the model manipulation panel. In the model editing module, we'll go to the model manipulation panel. And now we will create hollow models. So we'll select the green lower jaw and we'll create a hollow model. It can be hollow, closed, whatever you want. And then then I can create from the upper jaw, I can create as well a hollow model. This is not necessary again because the software can create this for you, but did give me a better perspective for the joint parts of it. So good, now we have two hollow models, okay? Now what I will do is I will create and tell the software to give me here where it says articulation pins. I will create a model with 3. In this case, I want 3 in this case. I can do as many as I want, from 1 up to whatever I want. So in this case, I'll do 3 points between the red and the yellow models. Okay, I really like to speak in colors when I'm doing in BlueSkyPlan. And then I'll just click add. Once that I added my models, these models will have posts and will have these bars. So I am going now to select the posts and just move them so I can have the support of the bar all around. So I have one there. I have the other post in here, and I will just put it together in there. And then the last one here, I am going to put it right over here. There you go. There you go. Okay, now this will work. This will create an articulated model for my crowns to check the occlusion as soon as I can bring it before my patient comes to the office. Okay, now I just click create articulation pins. I'm sorry, I think that I deviated the webinar about 2 minutes creating these pins, but you get the idea. I hope you use this later on today a lot.
What's the point of the pins? Can you just explain that now?
Yes, of course. So the pins will do the, I hope, I don't have now one here at my hand, but the pins will bring the vertical, will hold the vertical dimension of my patient. In this cases, it doesn't really matter, but imagine that you have an edentulous patient, or that you are increasing your vertical dimension, or that you are doing a full arch and you're increasing or decreasing or diminishing your vertical dimension. You want your pins to be as your articulator pin. To once that they're mounted, once that they are locked in together, the upper model will have here, will have, as you can see, half ball that will fit in perfectly into the female here on the lower, okay? And this will have our vertical dimension occlusion, and we'll have mounted our models all the time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. But the good thing is that here you don't make it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you're doing, sorry guys, this will deviate myself. But if you have a bone model in the upper and a dentated model on the lower for a full arch, and you use the pins, this will always keep the vertical dimension, the perfect positioning, so you can try in the dentures or trying the hybrids in there, and that will work. Okay?
Another important point is exporting from the model editing module is completely free as well. So you could do all of the model editing, all of the cutting, all of the articulation pins, all of the hollowing, the closing. You could do all that functionality in BlueSkyPlan, export from the model editing module at no cost whatsoever. You could convert a CT to an STL, lots of great functionality, and all of that is free until you make a surgical guide or a denture or replace implants or do any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's correct. And even if you want to emboss it, you just have to go to the surgical module, and in the guide panel you can just emboss it and put whatever you want on it, apply the text, and that's it. Okay, so let me just go real quick now to the crown design, now. So in the teeth surfaces, I will hide my articulated pin models. I'll bring back in my models, my working models. Here, I was asked about what happened when you see the margins and you don't use a cord. This is what happens. 90% of the margin will be perfect, and this will give you a little bit of a doubt when you're actually marking your margin. Okay, where is actually the margin? It's here, it's here, here. So that's why you do need all the times to use your retraction cord. Okay, good. So here I am going to start doing the restoration design panel. And now I'll again go for a conventional crown. First of all, I am going in this case. Last case, we didn't create a wax up, okay? So let's say here that we are doing a full wax up in this case. Let's say that we're doing a wax up before. Okay, or even better. So I am going to show, let's use a Christian Brenner's tooth library. So let's grab this guy and put it in, and then with holding shift and left mouse button, we'll bring in this tooth. After that, we'll go to the teeth edit panel, manipulate model, and you will be able to move, rotate, and scale your teeth with the different options in the widget. Now I am moving the arrow so I can position my tooth in the widget, in the tooth in the model. Now we'll scale it a little bit to the mesial and as well to the distal. Now here I am going to position it right on the tooth where you want it, okay? Here you're doing a perfect wax up. That this wax up, you can use it with the models that we just designed. You can use those models to do even a mock-up. You can do a temporary, if you want to, you can use these as a temporary shell as well. This can have unlimited uses. Okay, you just need your imagination to actually define what you want to do. Okay, so here I am doing the wax up. I'm defining the incisal length. Once that I define the incisal length, I'll check the orientation and my gingival zenith. Okay, I have that. Good. I can use even my global. We have here in the teeth edit panel, we have another tool that is called the global geometry transform tool, that this will give me 27 points that will deform globally where my teeth anatomy will, the initial anatomy of my teeth will be. Okay, so with this I can just change it. There you go. I can, or I want just to tell this on the anteriors, and this is something that I really like when I was using CEREC a long time ago. When you are doing anterior teeth, your contact points, your interproximal points, are always in the lingual or in the palatal surfaces. Okay, so you can have your line angles in the buccal or in the facial areas, okay, and you have a more natural appearance. So here you have, these are the areas that I want. Perfect. I can even use the local geometry. There you go. I have my veneer now. So I can now use the relax mesh. I really like this tool, the relax mesh. I love it. Now you can use the local here just to cover everything and to look like the rest of the teeth. Okay, good. So these guys is done. The wax up is ready. So now I know that my final restoration will be this, exactly this. Okay, so I will go now to my restoration design panel. I'll create a conventional crown on a mandible, and I'll use my green model as my lower jaw. Then I'll use the left mandibular central incisor because this is the wax up that I brought, and I'll use the antagonist, the opposing, as my upper jaw. Okay, then we'll use and start all the wizard. Again, it's the same 6 steps. We'll start creating the margin now. Again, it's a big general margin on the beginning, and then we will just end it up tweaking the fine tuning the rest of the margin. Again, if I do not merge the last point with the first or the initial point, I cannot move. I cannot actually continue with the process. Okay, so I will grab my last point and join it. with my initial point. Then I fine tune. I can fine tune here my margin. Every time that I fine tune, I go occlusally and check 360 degrees of my margin, checking where it is. Here is the area that I am doubting. So here it is. There you go. Here is good. Here is good. Here is good. Okay. There you go. And there you go. Okay, that's the margin. I want to see 360 degrees of it. That would be ideal. And here, in this part, I'm not sure that I love this jagged or this on a. I like always even margin areas. So here, that's what I like. Okay, perfect. Continuous, not even. Continuous, that's the term that I want to use. Okay, then I click next. Again, I will go to the insertion direction. In the insertion direction, I am just selecting again, where do I want my veneer to go through? Here's the insertion direction. I want to see 360 degrees over my preparation and my adjacent teeth. Here it is. Then I set the insertion direction, and I do not want to see any brown on the margin. So let's say, let me just rephrase that part and make it understandable. So let's say that we have, okay, this brown part and a bridge, okay? Or on a crown that it has some sort of undercuts. What I do care on the most is that the margin or the whole preparation area, it has white. If there is any brown, my restoration will not seal, will not fit perfectly. Okay, so that's the importance of the insertion direction. Okay. In a bridge, we'll create a path of draw. In a single crown, we just need to check that all of our crown fits perfectly. Good. So I here put my insertion direction. I click next. The undercuts here, again, I'll just set it close to 20. Click next. After this, I'll select my interproximal surface here and here, holding shift and left mouse button. Again, let me just do it again so I can explain what I did. Hold shift, left mouse button on the interproximal area, hold shift and left mouse button in my interproximal area. Once that I have that done, then I'll just click next. Once that I click next, my tooth, we already know that it was perfect, so I don't want to move it. If I want to fine tune it, fine, I can do it, but I definitely don't want to do anything now. I just click next. I'm starting with the crown buttons. So there was a question that was asking me regarding the margin and the crown. Michael? It was asking me the margin and the crown. Can you, so let's go real quick to that question again. Just to show how the margin now, when you place it correctly, your crown will follow that in the anatomy, okay?
Okay, great.
Good. Is there any other questions so far before going to the crown bottoms, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, there are some questions.
Give me.
You want to finish the process flow, or do you want to take the questions now?
If there is any question, if there are any questions that I can answer now that they're worthwhile to mention at this point in time, it will be good to answer them now. Or if you think that I can just finish the process and then answer them, I can do that also.
Yeah, so let's finish the process.
Okay, good. So now again, I am now on an anterior tooth and a veneer, okay? So you need to understand two crucial things. One is that you need, okay, most of the milling units, okay, will have a zero, of the big milling units, of the 5-axis, will have a 0.6 tool, even a 0.3, okay? However, the 4-axis milling units will have a 1 millimeter as a universal tool. So you need to understand that if you put here in the preparation, since the preparation, if you do not prepare and you create a wide incisal edge for receiving your your veneer, what will happen is that you can have, or you may have, under milling or over milling, okay? So we're aiming here to create an over mill and to be able always to sit. This being said, you need to increase your minimum thickness at least to 0.3, between 0.3 and 0.5. That's for interiors. Okay, so I'll just do in between 0.45. I'll just do an in between ideal thickness. This will create, and this will allow my milling tools to create an intaglio surface that will allow my veneer to just go in perfectly, okay? Another thing about veneers is that the crown spacer, you want it, let's say, very, very tight. You want maybe 0.17. It's very, very small, the area that you want for cement space. The no cement gap, you definitely want it smaller, let's say 0.70, even less, 0.5. What I'm looking for in this is that my no cement gap, here's my margin and here's my prep, okay? So I want it less than a millimeter, a little bit less than a millimeter, so I can have a fully seat everywhere, but still my crown can fit perfect, or my veneer can sit perfect. So here, I'll just create a no cement gap. I'll do it 50 or close to 50. Perfect, I have that. Okay, yeah, with that I'm more than happy, and I know that my veneer will seat perfectly in. Okay, now all my angles or all my interfaces between my margin and my restoration, I want them completely straight. So the angle, I will reduce it. Okay, my angulation, I want it at very sharp, maybe 70 something. And here in the vertical, I do want it here. Okay, perfect. Now the minimum thickness, I already said it, and I'll just click next. And for you guys that you've been working in with either CEREC or 3Shape or EXOCAD, whatever, you know that this is a very simple process. It looks simple, it is simple, okay? So, and for the people you don't and you're new to this world, I can assure you that this is a very, very thoughtful process that we've done for you guys, so it's the easiest possible for you. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm smoothing in all the areas, okay? I am looking in the intaglio, so I can check the interproximal, and I'm smoothing that interproximal surfaces. Again, in the interproximal contact, I want to make it just a little bit larger than my surface. And if any time I get this point, these long areas are because of the margin and the crown. So don't panic, this will not print. Please do not panic, this will never print. You can always toggle the transparency in, and you can just smooth this out. Okay, the way to smooth them out is you just look for where you can see that point. You can then smooth all this area, and that's it. It's super easy, super easy. Okay, there you go. Done. Veneer. You can even do secondary anatomy by here smoothing in and creating your lobes, whatever you want to do here. This will give you, as I learned from my mentors when I was just starting, this will give you 95% or 90% of your restoration. The other 5%, you need to do it with your hands once that it's milled or printed. Okay, and this will take you a huge amount of headaches when you are using the CADCAM technology. Okay, so finish this. Now let's just move this and let's bring from teeth surfaces, let's bring our opposing jaw. We need to copy. If we see that in this scan we have some parts of the lower showing through, I need to have some part of these tooth showing through as well. Okay, just a little bit, but I need to have it, else you will get an infraocclusion. Okay, so good. Now we're done with this. Looks really good. Now I want to go to the restoration design panel and continue cauda-occlusal intersection checked, cauda-proximal intersection checked, and finalize. And this will give me the restoration done. Okay, so let me just show you, because I didn't do that last time. Let me just show you in the intaglio how you can see your restoration. These will be the fitting areas. This is completely zeroed. That means that you will have some friction when you're placing your crown in. That's good. That's what you want. And now we can toggle off the model in the teeth surfaces panel. You can toggle off the model. If there is something that you don't like for any reason, you want to change something here, you can always go to the teeth edit panel. You can select the D. D means designed crown, design restoration. So you can go wherever you want and you can manipulate it in there, just selecting the tool that you want to use. And it's very important to say also that meanwhile this is a restoration, and meanwhile you're in this module, even though you modify, you will never modify the intaglio of the surface. That's good, because your fitting is not compromised at all. Okay, so that's it. Now let's go and let's print this. So for this, I'm going to now to the restoration design panel. I'm going to click export. And in this case, I will select my two hollow with pins models. I'll select my designed mandibular custom crown, and I will export this. Cost is 0. I just want to export this in the crown. In this case, I will create a new folder by clicking new folder. I'm just going to call it lower veneer and models. Okay, and then I'll just click OK. I'll do 2 exports just for the sake of this video, of this webinar, and I'll also go and export again just the lower model with the central incisor, okay, with the wax up, or with the veneer. I don't mind, whichever of both will be ideal. What I want to do is just export separated files to a folder. This area, this checkbox, I want to have it unchecked. So I will export the lower model with the crown on the same model. This will create a wax up model. Okay, so for whatever reason, at the time of the prep, my temporary that I just printed, because this can be done for temporary and for final. So in the prep day, if I am doing this as a wax up before, I want to create a PVS or a guide to just put it after my preparation is done to create a temp. I can always do it or I can do an Essex as well. I can always do this and just call this guy as a wax up model. So in a very few minutes, what we did is this. Let me just take you to the software, to the 3D printer software. I'll choose Rayware in this case. This is from the 3D printers that we have, or that I have. I really like and I enjoy a lot these guy, the SprintRay Pro. I really recommend it. I think that it's one of the printers with the least amount of learning curve. Okay, I do have as well some other ones like beginner level, like the Frozen. I have the Sonic as well. I have the Form 2. I have many other printers, and this SprintRay Pro will be like one of the best that I can suggest. Okay, so let me bring here, let's say the lower veneer. This is what we just created now. So I will bring the wax up model first, or I can bring all of them at once. But what I want you to see is what we created. So what we created in a very few minutes is a wax up model, which will give you the opportunity to create a PVS key or an Essex. You have your final model, of course. You have as well your opposing, and you have your crown, okay? Anyway, what I want you to take from this part of the webinar is real quick, how do you 3D print? So this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the base, and I will click base and select the lower part. This is the subcritical areas. I'm gonna call critical areas all the parts that I need a lot of precision, okay? And the subcritical areas, all the areas that I do not need precision and that I can put the supports in there. Okay, in the part on the crown, the subcritical areas will be anything but the intagular. So here, I'll just use the incisal lingual portion of the tooth as my subcritical, and now I will just select my tooth, align it, and just as easy as click fix. This support, I don't want it there, so I just want to edit my supports, this one out, and that's it. Maybe one here. No, and here. There you go. I have it here. This will print. So also here on these other models, I just need to click fix, and this will create internal supports. That's what is going on. Fix here and fix on the other one as well. And we are ready to print. Okay? After it's completely fixed. If by any chance I don't have this software and I have another software to print, such as the Chidu box, what you can do is you will bring your models in. Okay, let's say you have here your models and you will bring them in. So in this case, you will bring in the flat, double click on the model, flatten by face, select the bottom, and now on my tooth, I am just going to create the subcritical areas. There you go. Towards the platform. Now I will just real quick put some supports. So I'll put supports everywhere. Okay, I'll put supports, not this one, but I'll put another support right here. There you go. Or I can even, this one, put it more vertical. There you go. So here, I just add this. Okay, that's perfect. I'm going to add one more here. That's it. Okay, so for the models, I will just add the supports here, add all my supports, another model here, and Z-list height in 0, add. For you guys that are new to 3D printing, please just watch this video many times. Go step, pause the video, step again, pause the video, etc. This will work for you as a tutorial. And then here again, the Z lift height at 0, and then you add all the supports. And the only reason I'm doing that is, I'm going to show you right now why, is because in the inside, I need my supports. Else, it will not print perfectly. So here I am adding supports in the inside. And that's it. That's the only difference between the Sprint Ray Pro and this one. This one you have to tinker a little bit, and also with the resin profiles, and also with the times, and also with many other things. But at the end of the day, they're great. So just have a little bit of a curve, learning curve, higher than the other ones. Okay, now I am deleting some supports, and that's it. That's pretty much it on both softwares. So on this Sprint Ray Pro, if I'm going to use it, I will use the denture teeth. I really like that denture. I will print at 100 microns. This is if I'm printing teeth. If I'm printing models, I will just choose model resin. But why not? We can just 3D print this, guys, and we can stop printing. Okay, so thank you guys thank you everyone for holding up to now. I know we touched a lot of subjects in the webinar, but trust me, I wanted to give you all that I could on my end. And there is just one more part that I will be touching on my next webinar, which will be on when is March 31st. On tie basis crowns, which I will be talking a lot about finishing restorations with the stain and glaze, how to finish your restorations with a burr, and how to give the final anatomy, how to polish it, and how to do the staining and glazing. Okay, so that will be on March 31st at 1 p.m. as well. And well, I'm ready for your question, guys. Please.
How long would you say it takes to plan a crown in the software, in the Blue Sky Plan software? How long would you say it takes to plan a crown, to design a crown in the Blue Sky Plan software?
If I'm not explaining it, less than 5 minutes. For any user, it will be, it's okay. So let me answer this question. I like that question. So the software is planned to be used within that a final crown design is done between 5 and 10 minutes tops. Okay, between the wax up, importing models, the wax up, and the 6 steps of the restorations, it'd be between 5 and 10 minutes, ready to export.
Okay, so this version of the software allows just the export of the STL file for printing. Our next version is going to include the XML configuration file for milling. Can you explain a bit in what situations is printing usable and a good solution, and in what situation should it be milled? Yeah, sure. So at this point in time now, March 2020, we still have all the definitive crowns to be as a gold standard of milling, okay? But we do also have milled materials such as PMMAs and hybrids. And basically, I would say that all my finish, or all my final restorations, all my definitive restorations, I will call them as milled nowadays. But I can do a lot of printing as well. The 3D printing is now an industry that is changing everything in the world. Okay, so I would say that 3D printing will be for my temporaries. I can easily use, I'll go real quick here and just for showing the different resins that there are. But here in the 3D printers, we have tons of materials for using these guys. Okay, so these 3D printers, we can use the denture teeth. These are beautiful
for temporaries. They will work. I use these guys for my hybrid cases for the full arch. I've used this for crowns. I've used these for veneers. I've used this for mock-up also. I do that a lot for my temporaries and I will say case presentation for my patients. So that, or for my doctors when I work as a lab. So I would say 3D printing will be all the preliminary or the diagnostics, all the temporary part, and I'll say the final for milling, that would be like my ideal. Okay. So that will be like my answer. And the reason is because, yeah, there are PMMAs, beautiful PMMAs for milling, but milling 12 teeth, it will take you like 4 hours or I don't know how much. And printing 12 teeth will take you about 45 to 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour. So that's why I always go for 3D printing.
What would be the process of designing a coping?
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So for designing a coping, let me just show you real quick because we're having this software right here, okay? So let's say we'll go now to the crown and bridge module, okay? And let's say that I want to do a coping. So what I do is I just create one tooth, or I even created my restoration that I didn't lock. In this case, let me show you. Okay, I don't have it. So I'm going to create a conventional crown, mandible, my opposing, it's an upper arch, and I'll just click start, okay? And I will just plan a restoration. Why not? Let's make a coping now. So for a coping, I will just click shift and create a general large margin that will cover all of my margin, join my last with my first point. Then I am going just to fine tweak my margin everywhere, okay? And here, I am finishing my, so meanwhile I'm doing this, I am telling you, why would I create a coping? A coping in this point in time, there are a lot of people that like layered zirconia, or that definitely you like to use a superstructure of a layered, more aesthetic material, and a coping or a very, very hard sole or substructure in your teeth, okay? So we're creating now a coping for this molar. We could create it also for the veneer, but it will be just I chose this one. Okay, so now we'll just click next. Okay, again, the same insertion direction, checking that we don't have any brown in the margin. We can see the preparation, and I can see now all the insertion direction. That's it. Set insert direction from view, allow undercuts up to 0.20, 0.30, it's okay. Then click next. After you have done that, click the interproximal areas just as if we're doing a crown. Okay, then we click next. I'm going to choose whatever, just Brennes. Okay, select the left mandibular. Let's do that. I do not mind at all about the position of my crown. Okay, I do not mind at all of the position of my crown. And then what I do is I just smooth everything. I include I can even, the tool strength, I can even make it as high as I can, as strong as I want. Now, I'll just delete all, or I'll just, all of my anatomy, all of the real anatomy here. And maybe what I would do only is just creating a very fine, so because in here, that's it. Smooth again. Not so strong. but I'll smooth everything so I can have an easy to mill area. Once that I have that, I'll just click next. And here, the coping, since it will be hard zirconia, let's say I'm going to do hard zirconia for the coping, okay? So the minimum thickness of that, it can be 0.4 because that material allowed me to be 0.4, okay? And after I have that, then I do the crown, the cement spacer. I can do that at 0.20. And I just do next. So that's the way that I create a coping. If I don't like it and if I want to do it thinner, even thinner, I can just grab this and smooth everything away. And this will only give me the minimum thickness of my restoration, okay? So this will give me the minimum thickness of my restoration only, and will not go beyond that. So I hope I answered this question. If you want to do like a colorless area or something, you can always add here, or just create a crown completely and remove the area that you want to layer on top of that, and this will be your coping. Okay. Did I answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, got it. Great.
The next question is, in the last step, in step 6 of 6, when you use the local deform tool to correct the minimal thickness, how do you know how it impacted the occlusion?
Okay, you have here, great question. You have here the opposing tooth, okay? If you have, let's say that I am now here in the local geometry transform, let's say that I am moving this cusp, okay? Or that I am actually now from this tooth, I am actually creating a nicer or a more anatomical shape. So I'll just create more anatomical shape on my crown. Okay, I'll say I want to like, of course this is not, I am really sorry for my self-CADs. I do need libraries to work in easier. However, let's say that I have this. I want to check my occlusion. Okay, I need to know that I don't trespass this part. Okay, so answering your question, you can always toggle in your opposing model, and as long as you don't see any material going through, you'll be okay.
Okay. For multiple individual crowns, in case of a full mouth rehabilitation, what would be the things to be considered?
Again, what will be the?
What would be the considerations that would need to be considered, as all the teeth would be prepped in both the arches?
Great. Okay, so here, wow, this is a very good one. Okay, so what you do when you're doing a full arch, what you do is this: you prep half, okay, and then you scan. So you have a stop. Then you temporize this part and you continue doing the other side. Then you scan the other side, and when you bite, you should have that stop also, okay? If you don't want that, you can take the bite in the previously. You can have the bite before you prepped or with your mock-up in your ideal vertical dimension occlusion. That's for the pre. Now, once that you're preparing your models, what you do is the following. You grab here, let me go to the other model so you can see this. Let me go to actually a full arch so you can understand this part that I'm doing. So you will go here in the crown and bridge module, okay? And in the crown and bridge module, let's say I want to do the full arch of preparations. So what I do is I go to the teeth library, I select any of the libraries that I want, and I go and select all the mandibular teeth. Okay, and once that you select all the mandibular teeth, you can place your tooth. Here, you will be manipulating all of your arch at the same time. So this will give you 95% of what you are looking for in this area. And if you want to scale the shape, you can definitely scale the shape. The only thing that you cannot do, and we might be able to have it in a later development, is you can have the if you want to manipulate the P curve or the Wilson curve and individual teeth, you can do that using a teeth chain, or you can later on use a individual doing. But I will use a wax up. So answering this question is, I will do a wax up, an ideal wax up, and then from there I'll go and prep my crowns. In other words, and let me just call it this way because I don't see any other way of calling it better. This will be guided prosthodontics. This will be guided CAD. You will do everything on your wax up, on your initial wax up, okay? And after you did your initial wax up, where you have your patient in temporaries, now you can use that same wax up to mark your margins and just blend them together. And that, actually, thinking about it right now, that's something that is unique to this software, because most of the softwares will give you one-to-one, or will give you a copy, a wax up, a copy in EXOCAD, or as well in 3Shape. So, but having this as the same wax up that you use, and just add your margins and do it within a very limited amount of time. Hey, this is a great question, and actually this is showing one of the potential properties of this software. If you're using the wax up first, so if you plan first your wax up, this will be easy in this software. Else, you can plan your wax up as I'm doing right now, plan your occlusion from there, and okay, here's your occlusion, and you can just like plan it ideally out of occlusion, etc., 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 and you can just plan that your contacts are okay. However, if you do it the way that I was proposing it before, and if you do it guided, if you do the wax up prior to that, you can even scan that temporary and use it as a lower, and you can define all the occlusal points. That's a really good, actually, if you guys have any lower arch or any upper arch full of preps and you want to do one of case like those, I can definitely volunteer on working with you guys like that to show it. It will be really easy, really. I mean, we can have a full arch of crowns designed in less than an hour, I would say so, with this crown and bridge module. Okay.
How can you make a temp off the model to reline at the prep appointment?
Again?
How can you make a temp off the model to reline at the prep appointment?
So, okay, so this is called a shell temporary. Is this right? A shell temporary will have to be done with the Boolean operations, okay? And you have to create basically you have to create your wax up and then use the Boolean operations to do these shells. So basically here you will do, I don't know, you can choose one of the teeth here, and then you can difference that Boolean from the yellow model, and that will just create one shell for that temporary. That will create just a very, very thin tooth, and you can just reline that and put it on. They're really, really cool to work with. And yes, you can do them in this software. But again, if you grab your wax up in the very beginning before your patient has the preps in, you can even create the wax up models, or you can create the shell temporaries as well. Okay.
Okay, next question. If we take a pre-scan model, can we import
Yeah.
that? Can we import it to essentially mimic the biocopy function of the CEREC software?
Yeah.
Will the Blue Sky Bio software automatically base a crown design on a pre-scan?
Well, yeah, definitely you can do that, and you can even overpass this by far with this software than the biocopy. As you know, the biocopy are fuzzy. This will have your 100% anatomy on your biocopies all the time. So yeah, you can use this as a biocopy. That was a question, or if you want, ask me again and I can tell you the how.
No, I think that was the question.
Yeah, you can use it as a biocopy, and actually better than any other software that I know.
Okay, great. If the margin is at the gingiva margin or slightly below the gingiva margin, after removing the cord, the gingiva might go back and cover the margin when you scan the prep. Any suggestions for that?
Yeah, you scan with the cord. The idea is that you scan everything with the cord in place.
Okay.
So you put the cord, actually you can use a double cord technique. Okay, so you pack 2 cords, and then by the time that you're scanning, if your cords are too supragingival or too equigingival, you can take the upper one and you will still have the lower one. It's as the regular double cord technique for the impression. So the best way to have it is place all my cords with hemostatic in place, the first one. Then the second one, I try to place them sub-gingival, so it actually separate my gingival very well. And what I do in those cases is that I wait about 5 minutes and wait until I really get all my tissues separated, and I can see that my margins are clear. Then I take away one of my cords and I scan. I start scanning in that time. So that's the way that I do it.
Okay, the next question. Can you create multiple individual units adjacent to one another that aren't splinted like a bridge?
Yeah, you can do, in this module, you can do individual crowns, you can do adjacent crowns. You can even, I mean, if you start, you can do overlays, you can do crown lays, you can do bridges, you can do anything. And you can even export them as individual teeth, or you can export them as joint teeth. So you can print them together without the bulky, connector. So yes, you can do that either together or separated. All the code, not the code. The key is when you export them as individual or you export them as together.
Right, there's that checkbox that Raymond demonstrated on the bottom
Here.
that allows you to choose if they're being exported as separate or as a single STL file.
Yeah, so basically if you go here and you export them, here's a checkbox where it says export separated files to a folder. If I export this, let me show you real quick. So if I export this, I will export this as bridge, or this full arch, whatever, with full arch wax up. And then here I just click OK. And then there is another, if I export the data as a separated file, I'll just click here and create a new folder into full arch wax up. So this guy, I'll just click OK, and it will start each tooth as separately. So here, just for you to see, I'm going to go to my to my desktop, and I'll look for this CMB models, then full arch wax up. So I have here the full arch wax up, which was the first file that I exported. So this file will include all of my teeth as one STL file. So if I want to print it, it will print all together. Or I have the full arch wax up, which I have each tooth individually. So I can print them or mail them or do whatever I want individually with them.
Right. We also have bridge functionality in the
And we have the
bridge
bridge.
model. I guess we'll discuss that in a different webinar, but just so you know, there is bridge design and fabrication functionality that exists.
Yeah, we can definitely do a webinar about bridges if you want to. And this, for the person who was asking me about the shelves, about the reline, this is, of course, this is a gross and this is just a show, but this will be like the different tooth that, in this case, it has holes and everything, but you can do it in a way that it doesn't have any holes, and you can just reline it, and then after you prep it, you just reline it with material and you put it in, and that's your temporary. That can be done before your preparation is in your patient.
Okay. The next question, I'm not sure what it's referring to or what point it came in, but the next question is, can this material be relined with composite or with bisacral?
Bisacral. So the bisacral resins, you can definitely do them with the bisacral or with composite. You're talking about all of these guys, all of these resins, the bisacral or the PMMA, they're all polymetal metacrillate. They're acrylates, all of them. So yes, they can be realigned either with composites or with bisacral or with the same. If you actually freeze a little bit of the resin that you're printing, if you put it on the freezer, it will become like thick, very thick, like flow resin. So you can actually put it into you can freeze it in, you can pack it or put it in your tooth, put it in your prep. Actually, that will soothe a little. And with the excess, you just trim it out, cure it, that's it. And it's extremely cheap. It will be under $1 reline.
The next comment is just, it says, really amazing, exclamation mark, exclamation mark,
Thank you.
exclamation mark, thank you. That's what it says, thank you. Okay, next. How do you design the crown on top of the coping?
How do you design a crown on top of the coping? Hey, great question. So, man, awesome. Okay, so let's do this. Imagine that you have this coping, right? Well, this is an awful coping, but let's say that you have this coping and you want to design another one on top of that. That is called a split file. And how would you do a split file in BlueSkyPlan software? That is a great question. So what we can do here is we can actually create, as we were doing, we can create all this, structure, all these coping as the substructure, okay? And we can export it. We can export this file, okay? So let's say that we finish with this guy, okay? And we will, let's say that we finish with this guy and we export it, okay? So we'll export this custom crown and the lower model as one file together, okay? We'll export both here, crown and bridge, new folder, coping, split file. So here I am going to say it's lower and coping. Okay, and then we will bring in here Okay, for some reason I didn't export it or whatever. So here is the coping. Okay, let me see. I don't know where it is, where it went. So I bring in these two as one file. I export it into Crown and Bridge coping split file. It's called model and coping. So this guy inside of coping split file, export that. And here I will look for that file. Come on. The computer doesn't want you to see. Okay. I am having issues here now with the export, but here I'll just call it 1 in the CMB. I'll just call it here, whatever, 12. Okay, let me see if I can see that. There you go. Here is a model. I just go to my model editing module, because in the model editing module is where I bring in all my models. Okay, so once that I'm in my model editing module, so here I just take out the visibility of everything, and this guy I just remove it for now. Okay, so I will bring that model. This model that I'm bringing in is a mandibular partial, and I will skip the alignment because it already had the alignment as before. So this model will have embedded the preparation we just did, okay, as an STL model. So what we will do in this point in time, we'll just get here the crown and bridge module, and I'll do this. I'll bring one molar in, hold shift, place my tooth in, and I am going to the teeth edit panel, manipulate the model, place it in. I'm just going to show you I will show you the way that I would do it. I mean, I've never done it, but I will show you the way that I would do it in this point in time. And we can definitely, you can contact me later on and we can definitely do one so you can mill it. And I am pretty sure it will work. So here, this guy will be set in. Okay. There you go. Perfect. So now I will just go crown on a conventional crown mandible, and I will use my yellow model as my working model, my opposing as the upper jaw, and this guy will be my wax up. Okay, then I'll just start this and I will plan a new restoration. Yeah. Then I'll create my margin on top of the coping. Okay, so I'll just create a general margin on top of my coping so I can have this here. I'll join my first and my last nodes together so I can call this a margin. Zoom out, and then I am just going to, with my left click, I'm going to join all the parts together. So here, I hate to say this, but I love these webinars long because everybody can not just only make a presentation, but only you can show all these capabilities of the software, which are really difficult to do in a regular webinar. Okay, so here I'm going to show all the margins. To put it right where I want it, and there you go. Cool. And especially I'm taking emphasis on these guys, on these copings, because what we want, what we're aiming to do is that this can be used for any technician, for any person. And yes, the reality is that a lot of technicians all around the world are still using a lot all these copings. So thank you for asking about that, because, and I hope you use it. Okay, there you go. Now I have my margin. I'll just go and click next. Now is the insertion direction, right? So here in the insertion direction, I'll just need to check that all my margin is surrounded. It's visible here, my adjacent teeth as well. I'm going to call this, and I'm going to accept my undercuts a little bit higher than before. Okay, so here, there you go, and I just set the insertion direction, click next. Once that I have that, I define my interproximal area, one here and one there, and I'll just click next. I had already my wax up before, but I will just check it now better, make it nicer. There you go. Okay, cool. Now I'll just click here. I'll local deform this, why not? There you go. And here as well a little bit, why not? And now there you go. I can just click next. As you know, with the material that you will be laying over that will be a material that will need less minimal thickness. So I'll just choose these as a 0.3. I'll say 0.3 is fine. Close to 0.3, and all the rest I'm going to 0. 0, 0, 0. The cement gap, I'm going to call it like very, very thin. And the cement spacer, I will have a cement spacer 0.1, really, it's not that much. Okay, and now I'll just click next. After that, I will just fix my occlusion. As you can see, of course, I would need way more occlusal reduction in these kind of cases. However, I can still manage to have some good anatomy here. I'll show you how. So I'll have this, this. Okay, I'll cut all the way. Control to remove this part. I'll use control here to remove this. Wait, not now. Okay. So I'll just click next. I'll let the software to delete everything. So I'll finalize this. This is piercing through. So, of course, this is a show, but so this, in this case, what I would do is I would definitely add, I would like to add this material too. No, in this case, what I would have to do is, if I have this distance, what I would need to do is just to create an island of the material, and just align it one over the other. But I hope that you get the idea on how to do it. The result is this one. This crown will fit on top of the copy. Does that? I hope that makes sense, because that will be the final result. Okay, so this crown will be on top of the copy, and you will be able to do this crown in let's say any porcelain you want, or wax. Of course, that's why you're asking. You can do this milling in milled wax, and then you can press it. Yes, you can definitely do that.
What would be the workflow for implant provisional printing and delivery on the day of placement?
This one. Let me show you real quick, just because I had it already. So in this case, I'm just going to delete all the implants here, all the teeth that are not part of that crown. So here, okay, so what I would do in this case would be to create my model, I think. So in this case, I would do, first of all, before any surgical guide, as you know, I am a big fan of the prosthetic driven surgical guide. So here I will put my wax up tooth, and then after my wax up tooth, I would create a tie base crown. Okay. So after I create a tie base crown, I would, and that's what I'm going to show in the next webinar, which will be March 31st. But here is the model with the emergence profile already done and the pickup hole. So by the time of the surgery, you have, and this will be the custom healing abutment that will be on top of the tie base, right? So let me show you real quick. So by the day of the surgery, you can deliver, you can just put your cover screw. If you're gonna do an immediate loading with a custom healing abutment, you can have this custom healing abutment printed as well. Okay, it will be on top of the tie base. You can just trim whatever you want, or do it at the height of the tie base. And by the time of the temporary, you can just have this temporary here ready to be picked up, or even you can create a model. Okay, you can create a model that will have that gingiva, that already emergence profile done, and you can have an analog in there. You can create an analog model, so you can now put a tie base, pick this up, cement it, and by the time of the placement, you can just screw it in, and it will work. It will work great. It will work good. Okay. So by the time of the surgery, you deliver the healing abutment, you deliver as well the temporary, and you deliver as well your guide. Okay.
Okay, the next question you just responded. Do we expect a webinar for designing the prosthesis for implants?
Yeah.
And,
in 5 days, March 31st. That will be implants and stain and glazing at the end of the webinar. It will be real quick, just staining and glazing. How did I do it in the final anatomy?
Okay, can I share scan models for full mouth rehab case, as it is really interesting to work up in BlueSkyPlan software?
Please do that. Yes. Oh, you want me to share it? Yes, I do have some, but I would love to receive some. I would love you to send me some of the cases. Yes.
Okay, so maybe we'll do a separate webinar on that, and maybe at the end of the presentation, you could share your contact information again.
Yes, we can.
Okay, next question. Does the software give me the option to articulate my models on a virtual articulator to verify the wax up according to all functional movements of the mandible?
Yes, that question, the absolute answer is yes. We are working in an articulator in Blue Sky Bio that we have already, that it's the buccal bite registration. In the buccal bite registration, you can scan your patient in maximum interlactation, in protrusive, and in four. Actually, you can have four positions. Okay, so this way you can have your patient or your restorations calculated in the actual movements of your patient. So you have your patient in maximum interlactation, you scan it. So you do protrusive and you scan it, and you do lateral intrusive and medial intrusive, whatever lateral movements you want. And then here, the buccal bite registration will create an animation that you can have that, okay? And we will include that part later on with the occlusal points into the restorations, so you can delete all the interferences that your model will have. So yes, it's in the roadmap. We do not know when it is, but now you can have a virtual articulator that it's free, and I can tell you that it works better than any other articulator that I have known so far yet. And for the easiness of use, you just need like 4 scans to do it, and it will work great.
There a way to import a photograph of the patient's face into the software in order to aid with the wax up?
Yeah, there is a way. In order for you to do it, you touch this face with colors in the software, load new image, and you will load a JPEG or a picture of your patient, so you can start doing a smile design. You can also import a face scan if you want to, so you can have that as well. In a more, so if you're asking about a smile design, a full smile design, yes, you can do it. So far, and unfortunately at this point in time, we grew so much the software that we will have to stop a little with the developing, but the smile design module per se, this could be in a later roadmap on, but for now, 2020, you can do it today, just bringing your face scan or your picture of your patient.
Okay, great. That pretty much wraps things up. There's 2 more comments, or a bunch of actually more coming in now. Thank you for all the information, knowledge, and for your valuable time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for all these resources. So again, the CE credits should be coming via email within 2 weeks' time. Check out the list of upcoming webinars that includes Dr. Raymond Rophie's webinar on the 31st, and a lineup of additional webinars that we have planned. And Raymond, thank you so much for your time, for all the information, for all the knowledge, for all your help with the software, and for everything else that you do for the dental community.
No, sure, guys. Thank you guys for holding. This was, wow, almost 3 hours. Thank you guys for holding up with me. And yeah, whatever you need, I'm always here. And you know, I'm not difficult to reach. You can just go send an email to raymond@blueskybio.com, or in the Facebook group. We're always there. Okay, me, Corey, Baron, Michael, everybody. It's always like they're ready to help you guys.
Great. Everybody, thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you at our upcoming webinars as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, and stay safe, stay healthy.
Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye. Stay safe. That's important. Bye-bye.
Good night.